Hello, Daniel.
Hello, David. How's it going?
We are good, man. It's Wednesday, and this is episode 13 of This Should Be the Podcast.
Yep.
And your mic and your camera.
Yeah, there we go.
Sounding good. Sounding good. Looking good.
You were bigger than I was, so I was trying to balance it out a little
Oh, sorry. I don't know if I changed anything on my end. Let's get started.
All right, let's do it.
Whoop, there we go.
There we go.
Oh, hey, ho, ho.
Who do we have working in the production booth on this place?
It's me.
It's me, Mario.
Me, Mario. Yes. I'm actually pretty happy with this Photoshop. It's got really nothing to do with the show other than,
Yeah.
I threw my name on some licensed material.
It's a little clickbaity, which
I
totally support that.
I mean, it's better than nothing. I just, again, something to do every week. Throw it up there. Something to do.
Yeah.
Everybody likes to feel important. Dumb Photoshops make me feel important.
Yeah.
So you've had a rough day.
Well, I've had a rough little while for a variety of reasons, but there's personal stuff, and there's business stuff, and then today was like a little bit of a perfect storm. I woke up to the realization that somebody had rifled through my car because either they jimmied it, which seems unlikely given that it's a pretty modern car, or I was an idiot and left it unlocked. I was lucky that they didn't steal a whole bunch more than they probably could have. But they stole like my wallet, and I had to cancel all my cards, and they stole my laptop. So that means I had to like change all my passwords and remotely delete things. And that was a whole thing. And then I had to go figure out a way to get some cash, and Wells Fargo wouldn't give me a new credit card. It was like a whole, and then I thought that the air conditioner upstairs was busted. So I had to power cycle the whole thing because I went up there and it was like 78 degrees. I'm like, oh, this is exactly what I need at the end of July. And then what else happened? Oh, then I think my garage door broke itself. So I had to fix that.
Oh, really? Did you have to work on that before?
Well, yes. It may be related to me breaking it before, but I don't know.
Sorry.
I think it was like just the universe hated me. So apparently I did something very bad to earn this karma.
Was your car at your house?
Yeah, it was right in front of the house. I looked at the security footage. It was just a couple of jerks walking around checking cars, and they go in there and they rifle. They could have stolen a lot more stuff. So thankfully they didn't want to carry anything large, but it's still a huge pain. So
that's annoying.
And you can't really see much on the security footage. It's just like a blurry figure. So
super annoying.
Not terribly. And then, so I'm not terribly confident I'm going to get any of that back, but it could be worse. I could be in a Soviet gulag.
Yeah, but still, that's really frustrating. That's not fun.
Yeah. Everybody who had the misfortune of being around me today was subject to a significant amount of Ramadan. I think most of the neighborhood heard me yelling at the garage door, like, "Why won't you close?" Oh my! It was.
And then the dog got out. No, I'm just kidding.
The dog was. I think the dog. He was like sitting there. He was like, he usually makes those sounds when he's angry at me, but I didn't do anything, and so he was like kind of scared. I'm like, no, I'm not mad at you. I had to give him scratchies. He's like, oh, okay. Anyway.
Right. Well, I've had a pretty normal day, so I can't complain. So sorry about that, bud. Sorry.
Hey, no, you go ahead and enjoy your good day. I support it.
It was just an average day. It's fine. Again, nothing was stolen, so that's a plus. Can't complain.
Except the election.
Hey, except American democracy, Dan. It's always been. It's in the midst of being stolen as we speak.
Yeah, whoever you don't, they're the ones they're always stealing.
Yeah, someone's always stealing something. It just depends on who's in power. Did you see the new CDC mask stuff, which isn't really part of, but we're not going to talk about this. I just was looking at it today.
I'm hearing rumblings that the masks are coming back.
They're coming back. Full, like I recommended that if you're fully vaccinated and you're indoors, still wear a mask.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with a no on that one.
Tough sell.
Yeah.
Let's see. The whole reason everybody wanted to get vaccinated, so to get like
do you want less people to get vaccinated? Because that's how you make less people get vaccinated,
dude.
By removing all of the incentives.
Yeah, the federal government has done the worst possible job with the vaccine rollout and like advertising and mandating and messaging, and the CDC obviously has sucked the whole way through. But it's just so bad, man. Just either lecturing you or lecturing people or yelling at people, calling them stupid, calling them selfish, and then going, yeah, also you have to wear masks and whatever. Like, yeah, you're still going to give it to people. You're still going to get COVID, even if you get the vaccine. You're still going to get it. You didn't know that? You're still good, because before that you didn't know that. We didn't tell you that, but now it's common knowledge. Of course, you get the vaccine and you still get sick.
The variants.
Yes, the variant. Da da da. But whatever. I just thought that was interesting. Everyone's all at Twitter.
Maskings will continue until morale improves.
Exactly. Look. Well, yeah, then like stuff like that too, like where people, all along there's like people's like, oh, masks are just a show of control and your compliance. Don't be a sheeple, blah blah blah. And like now it's just.
I mean, the first part of that is not entirely wrong.
This proves our point. But then,
two things can be true at once, right? It can't.
Yes, it can be. Yeah.
Masks can be smart, and vaccines can be smart. Masks and vaccines can also be a shallow display of one's fealty to the powers that be.
This is true.
So, I mean, yeah.
Interesting times to be alive. Yeah. But, yeah, man, I don't got a whole lot to ramble about. I thought it'd be sort of interesting to talk about, social community groups. Like, I don't know, just
elaborate on that, because you told me that I wasn't exactly sure what you were talking about.
No, and I don't have anything that really like jumped off the conversation. I think it was I was listening to, must have been a Joe Rogan podcast probably, because there's someone who's joking about not wanting to read comments online, like people that have actually an actual online presence. They'll post something and then thousands of people see it and read it and comment back. So like someone wanted to go like, man, I don't want to read those things. I try not to read the comments. About me.
I think I saw that one. I forget who it was who was talking about that, but
yeah. And the guy, and he was just like, "Oh yeah, no, you never, you don't ever read the comments." He's like, just like, click it, write it, post it, sign off, and be done.
Yeah,
because like you can't live your life seeing what complete strangers are saying. And the guy's like, "Yeah, it's weird. We live in this social media age, where we're also connected, but really, there's only like a handful of people that you can really connect with in your life in a meaningful way, like maybe 5 or 10 like close friends, acquaintances, close friends. Then you got your family, then like 5 or 10 close friends, and then like something up towards to like, I think the number is like, it's called like the Dunbar number or something silly like that. Like 100 or 150 relationships that you can maintain, and like relationships.
Wasn't I telling you about this a few episodes back, where there was like some sociologist figured out that like our brains are only able to process like 100 to 120 people.
Yeah,
like, in terms of their personhood, and that's.
If you told me about that, I've known about that. I didn't know.
Well, maybe I was telling somebody else about it, but we
might have talked about it in the past. We kind of overlap a lot of stuff, but like just the idea that there's like even in your normal your normal day-to-day relationships, not an online necessarily thing, that you can only maintain like 100 to 150 acquaintances, like relationships, and those are loose relationships. Like I was reading up on, and the guy who originally put it up, he's like, yeah, like literally like this amount of people is like someone you could go grab a lunch or a beer with and kind of be like, that was sort of normal. Like, and I don't even know if that still seems like a high number to me, but I don't know, maybe that's the thing. But it's just funny because then to the online conversation, like, oh, you can't care at all what people think about you online, man. Even like, gosh, I should have looked. I have like a couple hundred friends on Facebook or something like that, and they're just people I've picked up along the way that I've known for a little bit or known for a long time or never ever talked to. And if we weren't on Facebook, I would have zero contact with these people. And like, so those people count as close relationships, or and then just the other aspect of, kind of what's our relationship or our reliance on community, the stuff that we value, like why, like we seem to be hardwired to want to be part of a group, part of a tribe. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but just there's a human aspect to being part of a group, caring about what people think, and how can we navigate that? Or it's a weird time to navigate that, given the technology that we have.
Yeah.
This isn't really I don't know. So this isn't topical for anything. Just a kind of philosophical.
But you're right about that. I mean, you're right about all that in the sense that, like, you know, where even the most introverted, you know, Ron Swanson-ish of us are still need people in some regard, right? Like, you know, I've been, I don't know, probably stupidly, you know, just like learning a lot more about like the Soviet gulags and stuff, and it's just like, you know, what's the worst thing you can do to a person is put them in solitary confinement with no, you know what I mean? And it just like, it literally, their mind just like deteriorates because without any sort of, you know what I mean? It's like if you were in a place that was total darkness, like your eyes would atrophy, you know, because you wouldn't have, you wouldn't be exercised. So if the social part of your brain isn't being exercised, then it loses it. And then there's some sort of term for it, you know, it's like isolation sickness or some sort of weird thing that they do for like, you know, County Monte Cristo type people. But like, so, I mean, yeah, no question. I guess the problem we have now is that like, okay, well, I guess there's pros and cons, right? So the cons of the old way, like where people were always face to face, you know, coworkers, people in the town, you know, maybe you're at your Elks Club, you know, or your church or whatever group that you were part of, like, that was nice, you know, because you could read people's faces, you could talk about it, and then if you said something mean, you had to face the immediate consequences of saying something mean. Right. Like that person either you get your ass kicked or that you just hurt the person's feelings, and that's bad. But like, the problem with that is that you probably are going to be in like sort of a low resolution group, right? Like you're working on the docks, and you know, so all the other guys there are other guys who work on docks, so you're probably not solving any great philosophical issues. Right. So like the level of knowledge and discourse is probably lower because you're only limited to the people in your immediate sphere, like in your small town or whatever. So that's a downside. And so then you got like, well, the information age. So it's like, you know, the whole wealth of human knowledge is at our fingertips in the internet. And so you can literally tweet at somebody who's like a top person in the field. You know what I mean? Or like, you know, or you're listening to like somebody who's, you know, politician who's like literally in charge of an entire body of government or something like that. So you're like, oh, well, that just, you know, it elevates the level of discourse, right? And it elevates the knowledge, but like the human aspect of it is removed, you know? So when you say something really mean to somebody, you're not having to say it to their face. You're just saying it to you're just typing it, right? Because the anonymity of the keyboard warrior. So it's like we have more knowledge, but like our social acuity has been dumbed down.
Yes.
Right. And so when you get like, it would be interesting the first social media platform that allows you to filter out anything negative and you only see the likes. You know what I mean? In the sense that like people could go in there and they could get all that sort of cheap dopamine, and then they would have to face none of the negativity of their opinion. Right. It would be like, you know, that's what they say that like porn does to people, right? Where you get all of the surface level cheapness. And then like, but you never have to deal with the humanity of a person, right? Like being in an actual relationship with a human being. And so people who like have no social skills and they go out and they try to like, I'm going to date a person. And they're like, oh crap, I didn't know that dating this person, they were actually a human being with problems and dreams and hopes and hangups and stuff. I was, you know, what's that song? Centerfold. You know what I mean? Like,
Don't you talk bad about the Jay Giles band.
So, but I mean, I think that's kind of like what Twitter and all that kind of stuff does. You know, you put something out there, you're kind of unsure about it. Like if you were really sure about it, you probably wouldn't say it. You'd be like, yeah, I know that's true. The sky is blue, whatever. But you type the sky is blue and then you get like 50 people like liking it or whatever. And you're like, all right. Yeah, I said something good. Yeah, you know what? I got it going on. You know, these people need me. They need me to say this. Otherwise they would. No, that's why they're liking it. You know what I mean? And then like, or you say something and you think you're going to get a bunch of likes, and then it turns out a bunch of you like, actually, the sky is clear, it just reflects off the water, you know, and it's just the nitrogen in the atmosphere that makes it blue, and you're just like, you want to crawl in a hole because you've made yourself dependent upon that cheap high. Yeah, so that could be a problem.
Yeah, no, it certainly is, and it's funny though because it's like I don't know, like just a huge amount of people are susceptible to that high, to that like that. I mean, there's like you said, there's psychology behind it, and that's not a accident. Like the dings, the notifications, the likes, the hearts, the thumbs ups, like that's all stuff that's the programmers at your friendly social media overlords have put in there to make you go, "Ching! Oh, I like that. Oh, I like that."
I would say there is a middle ground. The middle ground would be when, like, if there is a positive spin to this, it's like, well, being an adult is hard. You don't always get to see your friends. You know, before the internet, it was like if a man wanted to have friends, he'd either have to go like join a bowling league, or, you know, he's in a Bible study, or he's playing golf or whatever. But like, I know for me that, like, I kind of like the social media aspect where I communicate with like people like you guys, where I don't, you know, and when you're connecting that name to an actual face of a person, you know, like, that's one thing. It's when a lot of the validation comes from a totally anonymous sources where they're not actually humans to you. They're just names that are giving you likes. I think that's where the problem comes in.
Yeah, that's fair. No, because like right, the anonymous aspect of it is definitely, I think, all negative. I mean, there could be some positive. I mean, there's a rare chance that you stumble across 1 out of 30 million people talking on one subject that you can actually connect with, and then somehow a meaningful conversation in like 200 characters or less. I don't know. This seems really difficult. But yeah, but even the like your social, your sphere of influence and your friends that you've known in real life that you've just stayed connected with, it seems like it's even really hard to do. Like, I don't know. I feel like that 150 relationship thing, that's a high bar to hold, man. I think. I mean, I could be wrong about that, but like, I don't know how I could have a decent connection with 100 different people. I mean,
I don't know how that would work either. I can think I could probably think of 100 if I scrolled. I mean, I got a lot more Facebook friends. A lot of these people are just randos, but like, I bet I could scroll there and pick 100 people on there that I like. Yeah, I like that person.
Right.
But probably not much more than that, you know, like either I don't know them enough to know one way or the other, or I actively think, no, that person's a jerk. So it's like,
you know, like, just like, I don't know, but like, how much do you really know those people? And like, are they really part of, right? And like, are they really part of any meaningful sense, your community, your group, your tribe? I would say no.
For the most part, no. I have a couple of people that I haven't met, but for whatever reason became friends with them. And then for some reason, like, I know this one dude whose name I can't really pronounce, but he lives, I don't even know where he lives. But for some reason, his posts always show up on my
Russian
feed.
Spy, Dan. That's who he is. Way to go.
But the level of discussion that happens on this guy's wall, I don't know who he's friends with. He's friends with like thinkers of all persuasions. And I'm like, okay, I'm actually getting something out of reading the arguments that happen on this. But that's by far the exception. Most rando people are just like, okay, I don't even really care what my friends had for lunch, much less a total stranger.
Right.
So
no, and it's not that it's impossible to make those connections. I just, like you said, it's probably exceedingly rare that kind of thing comes up. Like, I've never had anything like that where I've just met some person online and be like, oh, we kind of hit it off. Let's just be like pen pals, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
not pen pals, you know what I mean? But
yeah, well, and there's a whole other layer too about like how people. This is just sort of occurring to me, but like how people regulate their own emotions. So like, I had the thought the other day, and I think I posted it online. It was like, well, you know how I'm always coming up with like these life rules. I was like, life rule: be the kind of person that other people don't make passive aggressive Facebook statuses about. Because I was. You are
my own personal like Jordan Peterson. Thanks, Dan.
So, but I was thinking about this because for Dan's life. I was in a particularly cantankerous mood, and in the moment I caught myself because I was literally like, and I was about to like be like, some people just think that, and I was just like, okay, you know what? That's low vibrational me from like five years ago. And then I thought to myself, I was like, okay, so who's doing that about me? You know what I mean? Like, what sort of craters have I left in the wake of my life that I've done or not done to people to where they're like, you know, they're wanting to say something, like they want to get that hit. So, but they don't name me by name because then that would be like awkward. You get to a confrontation. So it's like you write something where it's like you kind of hope they see it, and then it's just like, okay, this is like, you know, this is like 8th grade. So I was like, okay, well, maybe that's like, it just occurred to me like that was a way that I could go. That's like, all right, well, I'm just going to treat everybody in a way that hopefully they won't have the need to passive aggressively write something about me, but not naming me. And so like, but it occurred to me that like, you know, there's those people that you see who are like, you know, how you can always tell the people who are like the most dramatic are the ones who talk about how much they hate drama. So, you know, you'll see people that's just like, you're entering the no drama zone. And it's like, some, you know, in some big letters. And I'm like, that's a person who's dramatic. You know what I mean? So what has it done to us? Like, you know, like in the old days, you were pissed off about something. you either talk to that person or you vent to your friends, you know, or you vent to like the Cliff and Norm at the bar, you know what I mean? But like, it gives us a way of just like rattling off like our half of the story to like total strangers, and people go, yeah, I agree. You know what I mean? Like, so it allows us to kind of get a little bit of like sycophantic yes men on our shoulders, right? Without us having to actually deal with whatever problem we're going through.
Yeah, no, that's pretty funny. No, then that's funny with me. That stuff still bubbles up too. So like, I don't necessarily have the. Well, I mean, I do when I ignore it. I don't know. I do best to ignore it. That's how I get around not typing that stuff and getting to the point of going post and then going, delete. Now I've had those moments and I feel really good when I have those moments.
I like to pat myself on the back.
Maybe I turned a corner here.
Yeah. But I read like an 8-paragraph. Well, you know the thing about what they're saying on this, and then I get to the end, I'm just like, I got stuff to do today. I don't have time to respond to all of the inevitable responses, so I'm just gonna go delete.
Yeah, no, mine are 8-page like eloquent like thought out arguments. They're mostly like you're an effing prick and just stuff like that.
All caps.
Yeah, no, I'm not an all cap guy. I'm more I'm more definitely the passive aggressive. I do like the 2 or 3 one-liners. Hit enter, no, hit enter. So it's like a bunch of comments, and you're like, wow.
Or do you do the word clap, word clap?
I don't understand that, but no, I don't have time for that. Mine's more stream of conscious. There's like this and this and this. It's like just I'm better off just to leave it alone. So,
I'm just gonna leave this here and then like Huffington Post article, Wikipedia page.
Right. Oh yeah, those are the best, dude. It's like educate yourself, sir. Read the article. Right, but like I don't know, man. It's just and it's a topic we've talked about, just connecting with people and arguing with people for stupid reasons on stuff that you would never, ever argue with them about in person. But then again, you wouldn't really know what they're thinking about in person. Like if this number that is like 100 people, this came out in like the early 90s or something like that. So social media really wasn't a thing. So this is like actual interactions with actual human beings in your everyday geographical sphere. So like, how would you maintain those relationships? And with those opinions probably wouldn't matter at all to you, much more than a lot of the online opinions you get now.
Yeah. People wouldn't be wearing all of their beliefs on their sleeve.
No, you wouldn't. Yeah, you'd be almost just blissfully ignorant of their of all of their inner thoughts and their persuasions and their likes, their dislikes, and that's not a bad thing. But maybe and then maybe that speaks to like the few people that you can connect with on a deep level. You're privy to all of that stuff, and then like the inner craziness, the inner likes, the inner dislikes, and you're not repelled.
Yeah, it's like everybody's walking around like in a NASCAR car, where like all of their things that they
all their sponsors
are giant stickers and on the side of their car. Like, okay, this is my identity clearly, right? But in regular relationships, you don't just walk. I mean, I guess there are some people who do, but aren't those people the most annoying? The people who are just broadcasting everything I think about all subjects and like everything. Normally you meet people, you shake their hand, you maybe you have to work with them, or you meet them like through family or something like that. And not everybody's immediately talking about their most precious beliefs at all times. But like through the anonymity of like social media and stuff, it's like, oh, you meet this person, okay, I know exactly everything that they're about, okay, and I hate them,
Dude, does this happen to you? And like, this doesn't really bother me. It creeps me out on a little bit on a weird level. And maybe we'll speak to this conversation a little bit more, or maybe I'll just work it out in real time. So like, if you see someone like in the morning or at work or at church or anywhere, or like just hanging out, going to get a drink, you're like, hey man, that thing you posted on blah 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 blah. Let's talk about that post you posted in the I'm just like, no, I don't want to talk about social media interactions in real life. Like I really don't. And it happens to me a lot. They're like, yeah, I read all those comments. Man, it was crazy. I was like, okay, great. Well, you could have commented. We could have talked about it then. That was like 19 hours ago. I passed it. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Yeah. That was yesterday's Dave. What I'm talking
about. This is new. This is me. I've had time to reflect and I'm angrier. No, but like it's a weird veil, a weird dividing line for me. It's just like don't bring up my social media stuff and like in real life. And I don't talk that much online anymore. So maybe when I do, it's because I'm have something more poignant to say, I guess. But I'm like, it's like a lot of people are like, hey man, I saw you always stirring the pot. I was like, I really don't mean to stir the pot. I'm really not. Like I make jokes every now and again, and it causes.
Yeah, I think there's a certain sense of humor to it all that goes over a lot of people's heads.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Some people are just very literal. And so the idea of just like, I'm going to throw this out there. You know what I mean? Like when you say it, like you're assuming there's a certain amount of tongue in cheek or, what the hell? Man, it could be wrong. I don't know. Right. But a lot of people don't hear though, what the hell? Maybe I don't know kind of thing. And so if it rubs afoul of, their established dogma, then it's like, well, type, post. You know what I mean? And then it's like, exactly. Then they're all offended for the. So, yeah. I think a lot of it is, if I had to guess, I mean, I've been thinking for a long time, it's just like there's a basic human level. People like causes. A lot of times it's like it kind of doesn't even matter what cause. Like sometimes they just like having a cause that feels like the right cause. And that gives them a certain amount of satisfaction at the end of the day. So when you come, we've always done that, I guess, before social media, like not all causes were like, it's like back in the day, if there was a band that nobody else knew about, you were like, all right, well, I'm the only person in my town who knows this band. Fair enough. I'll just enjoy this band. Yep. Now, no matter what band you're into, if they're like a local band out of Albuquerque, you can find people in Albuquerque who like that band. And so, like, it's almost like causes have replaced groups. You know what I mean? So rather than people who they're not like they're in a group because of geography or family or vocation or whatever, you're like, all right, this is my group. Take it or leave it, whatever. Now it's like, okay, well, I define myself based on my causes, and so now I'm going to find other people who are in that cause, and that becomes my group. And so you start to define yourself, and then you're turning into the NASCAR car where it's like cause A, the social justice, or cause, pick a religion or something like that.
Yeah.
And so like the problem is that like now if somebody like, I'm trying to think of like a back in the day example from before we were born, but it's like, if you were a firefighter or a cop or something, or somebody in the trades or something like that. And then like, that was your tribe, that was your group, blue line, or whatever. And then somebody talks crap about cops, you're like, all right, you get offended, right? But like now it's like people aren't offending each other's identity, they're offending each other's causes. So when somebody says, I think your cause is wrong because of X, Y, and Z, now you're like, well, them's fighting words. And then now everybody hates everybody.
Sure.
So it's like people don't know who they are, so they define themselves based on like what they think about the world. And most of these causes, the ones that attract the most adherents, tend to be the ones that demonize one group or the other.
Yeah. That's an aspect of it for sure. I mean, like that's like nationalism. I mean, that's like uber patriotism or unhealthy patriotism or just or whatever. Yeah, no, that's interesting. I think people do that. I don't know. I guess that's always happened. It's still. Do you think it happens now or it happens less now? Like you said before.
It probably happens the same. It's just different now. Like in the old days, it was like geographical groups. Like, what are you? We're barbarians. Well, it was easier. Like, well, we're Saxons. We're Romans, and then let's kill everybody. So. I don't know. Maybe then that's
Scott was used in 1802. Don't you talk about the 1802?
Well,
the flying 2x.
I'm not really into sports, but like I think that's why it makes sports a healthy thing for a lot of people. Because they're like, Philly, and they're like Boston, and then they fight and they argue, and then they go to work. But they know that it doesn't actually impact hopefully it doesn't actually impact the world. But the problem is people take that team sports mentality to the idea of like, my team can do no wrong. Your team is always wrong. And then they just extrapolate that to like every aspect of life, like red, blue, no, and then the whole route.
Interesting. Yeah.
And then you get that bleeding over to like where it takes precedence over other things. Like, I don't talk to my brother anymore. Like, why? Because he voted different. Or like Thanksgiving's about to get awkward. It's like, well, you can't have Thanksgiving with people.
Yeah, that's every year. Every year is like, how to deal, like articles and post about how to deal with that uncle you're gonna want to fight with over Thanksgiving, or grandma's a bigot and that turkey's not vegan enough for you or something. I don't know. It's like any way to slice it and dice it into I'll use the term intersectional way. I don't mean that in the way everyone would use it. But yeah, that's that happens, I think, and that's certainly unhealthy. But like, I don't know. But then that's what's funny though, because like if you're doing that, you don't really care about relationships at that point, but you want to be part. Okay, so you care about community, but you don't care about relationships. I would think you would say, if you're willing to cut people off because of a different point of view, it's not it's safe. You can say that you didn't care about that relationship in general. So like, they're not part of your 25 little tight knit group. You don't even want them part of your 100 group. You want them out of your group because of another group, which is just an identitarian group from whatever cause you associate with, which could be millions of people. But if you knew them all specifically, you would probably hate them just as much. But like, they agree with you on this one thing. I don't know. So it's just funny. That's a weird disconnect.
I think a lot of it is people's personality types. Like we've talked before, like the idea that I think there's a liberal and a conservative personality type that has nothing to do with a person's voting, like like red versus blue or whatever, taxes or whatever. No, but it's about like, there's a conservative personality type that like, okay, I know how everything is. We need to just keep it here, keep it like this. I know the right way. And they're not terribly open-minded. They're kind of just like, no, this is the right way, okay? And we can't allow deviance from that correct way. And then there's a liberal personality type that's like, the world's big. Like there's a lot of different kinds of people. I could be wrong. I can think of a lot of ways that I've messed up in life. So like, what do I know? Like, all right, well, and there's sort of anything goes kind of thing. It's like, and I think that both sides of, just to take the political spectrum, but not just political, you could like say all sides of a religious spectrum, both extremes contain a lot of both kinds of people, which is why, like, even though I might vote a certain way, that's not a guarantee that like everybody else who votes that way is automatically going to be my friend, and everybody who votes differently is going to be my enemy. Because, like when you're hanging out somewhere, like at some dive bar or whatever, or like I'm at a music venue and I might meet some person who's like, all right, I can tell they're about all the different stuff that I am. But for whatever their personality type, they're like, you're cool, all right, you're a human being, well, so am I. You're great. Yeah. And then you meet people that you're kind of supposed to be friends with, like maybe it's like, it's like your wife has like a friend, and then like she has a husband or like a best friend. You're like, I guess I'm obligated to be friends with. And you start talking to this person, and you're like, yeah, technically we're on the same page, but like I don't like that guy at all. What I mean? So,
or it's not even that you don't like him. It's just like
they can't hang.
It doesn't feel right.
Yeah, there's people who are just so locked in, and then you got like the people like the Subarus with the coexist sticker. You know what I mean? It's like they think that they're like the open-minded, worldly people, but they're really not. They're the kind of people who's like, everyone should be exactly like me, and if you're driving a car, you're murdering the environment or whatever.
Was that in our share chat? That was like a Subaru or now badge was like, when does the coexist sticker come in the mail, or does it just organically grow in the back or something?
Yeah, like, do I have to move to Carborough first, or like how does that work?
Oh, dude, yeah. That's funny. Carborough is
But so like, I think what you're talking about though, like the people who have problems that, like, like they're like gearing themselves like, well, Thanksgiving's going to be stressful or whatever, and it's like those problems occur because you get too many people who are a conservative personality, and they can't tolerate the existence of people who are different than them. There's an old joke about like
right, and that, like you said, just to reiterate, that's got nothing to do with the actual political perspective, because that can go both ways.
Because everybody thinks, right? They think all the liberals think that like, no, we're open-minded. It's like, no, you're just as conservative as the most Bible-thumping Christian. Yeah, in terms of like how you tolerate differences from you.
Yeah,
and then I know people who are like on paper super like right-wing conservative people, but they're like, no, they're cool as hell. They love everyone. They're open-minded to like all different kinds of people and stuff. So I think that's a common misconception about people, but
for sure. Dang it. I was going to say something. Then we went back to the Thanksgiving. I don't remember now. No, I know. Like, it's something surprising. Like I remember we were at a church one time in Greenville, like the young adults class thing. It's just like,
that sounds like a thrill a minute.
It just how I said it, you can already tell how I was feeling about it. And
did they have like the young professionals?
Yes, it's exactly what it was. It was
singles for people who are post college but not married yet.
I think you could be married, but you couldn't have kids. It's just whatever, dude. It was. I don't really remember specifics of it. And like, I already didn't.
And the people who are in charge are like mature people who are 3 years older than you.
Exactly. Yeah. So like we already didn't really fit in at the church. Like it's just whatever. We were going because we wanted to go to church, and that's the one we kind of found. But like we would go hang out with these people. They were all so nice, like very, very nice. Like really, I had nothing against them personally. I just couldn't click with any one of these human beings. Yeah. Like other than being a Christian, which arguably is like one of the most important things, we just couldn't get along on anything else. And not get along. Yeah. It just was like, I was just like, I
like, could somebody say a curse word, please?
Yeah, I can't be myself around these people. Like, we're at like an oyster roast, and like, I can't even have a beer. Like, this is crazy talk. Like, this isn't real life. This isn't real life. I know you people. If I go into your garage, there's a beer fridge right now. I know there is. I don't know. It's just
I had that problem.
But that's not like a real. Again, you're not being. That's not a real spot. You're not being your real self. You're in that instance. We were using our church identity and trying to shoehorn in like a friendship thing.
Yeah,
and it just wasn't there because we weren't able to be ourselves with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's not healthy. I mean, like it's just funny.
I mean, I know a lot of people who I could find other computer people or other music people. But the likelihood that that's going to automatically translate into somebody that I click with is pretty low.
No, of course not. I mean? Yeah.
Because I know plenty of musician people. I'm like, we don't drive at all. It's like, even though we like the same stuff. It's just like,
right. And there's people from that group that like they're on my Facebook friends list, and like I have no beef with them, no problem. Like I don't really ever talk to them. I don't think terribly often. Maybe a thumbs up here and there, and that's about it. You know?
Yeah.
So it's weird.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like I think about like. It has to do with like people's formative years. You know, people have like, you got those people that like maybe you went to college with or that you knew from high school that for whatever reason you're like always friends with till the end of time. Even though like as time goes on, you're like, we don't really have anything in common. Like I know some people like that. They're like, I still like them, but it's like, okay, they're in a whole different sphere of the world. But for some reason you're kind of, because like, you know, there's that early 20s when your brain is still forming and it's like, or like you're united with somebody through trauma, like, you know, like say you're a cop, like, you know, you're like in a foxhole with somebody like overseas or something like that. For whatever reason, there's a bond there for the rest of your life, even if you don't, you know, you get 20 years down the line. He's like, yeah, okay, I don't have anything in common with this person, but people still feel like they're supposed to be connected.
That's a good question, or that's a good thought. Like, when does, I don't know. When do you let go of a relationship that you should have let go a long time ago? Or
yeah, that's a good question.
I don't know. I don't know. That's a thing to ponder.
Well, it would be interesting.
I mean, because say I've had friendships end that I wasn't anticipating ending. Like I was anticipating the end of the friendship, but then it happened. It was just like, I didn't see that coming. That sucked. But obviously, I was in. It takes two keys to launch a nuclear missile there. So
yeah. I thought about that recently too. Like, just like you can kind of take. There are certain relationships you can kind of take for granted. You're like, oh, that'll always be great, and then you find that it's like, oh, okay, well, that was an interesting. I didn't expect that to be a wedge. But then for whatever reason, like either you or the other party is kind of like, no, I just that can't jive with me. Yeah. And then you're like, huh. Well, am I being petty or am I being principled? Like, you know what I mean? Like you're trying to figure out, like, am I the jerk or are they the jerk? Or maybe it's both of us or neither. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
It'd be interesting to do a psychological study of people's like high school reunions. You know what I mean? Like 20 years. You know those long-term studies that happen over decades where like they follow people from like kids. It'd be interesting to take like a bunch of cool seniors, you know, in like 1998, you know, and like document like almost like a nature documentary, like here we see the male trying to impress the females, and like just document all the like social groups and stuff, and then fast forward to like 2018 to the 20 or to the like the 20th year reunion, and like to see which people have like, you know, peaked and which people succeeded. But then you have people who like clearly, you know, like the nerd who like went on to be like a CEO of something, and then he comes back to the social dynamics. And it's like, you know, he still can't really talk to that cheerleader chick, even though like she's had 3 kids and like she smokes and like, you know, whatever. And there's like this jock guy who was like, yeah, I was still beating up on those, like a Biff Tannen kind of character, even though he's a loser now. And like, it's interesting. I think it would be fascinating for like somebody who knows about this more than I do, like to see how like those dynamics like imprint, like almost like they fossilize onto people's psyche when they're still in their development phases. And then no matter what that person goes on to do later, like when they see that person, they almost regress back to that old dynamic, you know. Yeah. It's like, hey, we're the cool people, you know. Hey, we stuffed him in a locker, you know.
So all right. So have you been to a reunion or anything with high school? Is that or has that ever? I don't know if you're with Gramercy. They ever?
No, I think they did we did a 10-year thing in like 2011.
Did you go?
Yeah. I mean, I don't remember much about it. It was pretty low key. It was a lot of people, you know. I mean, in the lunchroom,
there was like 9 people in the class. So
yeah, it was.
It wasn't gonna be a rager.
It was a bunch of people that I knew. You know, it was like this person's spouse, and then a couple people had kids. You know, so it was like, all right, it was pretty pleasant, and then it was nothing groundbreaking.
Yeah. See, that's funny, man. Like I see what you're saying. Like, I don't think I would regress to like a high school like mind frame there, or for a frame of mind there. But I don't think I would also want to do. I wouldn't want to do like a big reunion kind of thing. Or just any random ass group meeting. I wouldn't want to pick like 50 people off my Facebook. They're like, let's all go together. Let's all connect.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. This feels weird.
Like, I like to think that I don't have a psychological need to like stick it to anybody. You know?
No, not right.
I'm like, all right, look, you guys look happy. I'm happy. We're good. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
But also, I wouldn't be opposed to like a one-on-one or like a small group thing. We're like, hey, we got a couple people just like hanging out. You want to catch up? I was like, that sounds like fun. But like a big planned purposeful thing like that sounds very awkward.
I like the idea of people that maybe you previously thought you were an enemy to, and then you get about 10-15 years down your line, you're like, yeah, that guy's cool as hell, you know. I don't know what the problem was. And then you find out, you're like, you know, we got a lot in common, you and me.
And
I've had that happen.
Yeah, I say that a lot. Me and Sally will joke about, well, just not joke, we'll talk about high school stuff and be like, well, this person, oh my god, this person was terrible. I was like, yeah, I know, but like that was like 20 something years ago, so you got to cut on some slack. And like I do the same thing. It's like you can't judge someone who's almost 40 how they were when they were 15. You're like, all right, let's just there's a lot of time has surpassed, and you know, a lot of chance for growth. And also it could go the other way. There's some people who were really great when they were 15 who are complete derelicts of human beings now, you know. It was just it's
people who had so much promise.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, you were gonna bring balance to the force.
Leave it in darkness.
We watched what's the first one, The Phantom Menace. Me and Gabe watched that last night. It was a guys' night, a girls' night. We split up and watched movies. I was like, he was like, oh, there's some new Star Wars stuff, and there's some new like Star Wars animation thing. I was like, let's watch a movie. I was like, you've not seen the prequels. Let's start there. And he liked it.
Yeah.
He laughed a lot.
He's not old enough to pick out the bad acting.
And man, good God, Jar Jar Binks is so bad. That is, just going back. Whew, it's awful.
What a miscalculation that was.
It's still a fine movie though. Like they're okay. Like I still like them, but they're not. Like,
there are parts of it that feel more classic Star Wars than some of the other ones. Even though on paper the other ones are better. Yeah. Because they have more like Force stuff, and there's cooler battles, and there's more, you know, stuff like that. But there's so much plot that the second two are trying to fit in that they don't feel like the first one, as with all its flaws, feels like a lived-in world.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Which I think is part of that charm that got lost. You know, I think that's why people like The Mandalorian, because it feels like an actual world as opposed to like, no, this world is a series of plot points that have to go in a certain order.
Exactly, that's a good point.
That's gonna be overwhelming.
Yeah. Either way, it's fine.
We could do a whole show on Star Wars. We could get Joe on here.
I would love that. I mean, I'm just gonna snipe in comments here and there because I have no strong feelings one way or the other.
Yeah,
I saw that at the when they did the midnight show. That was the first midnight showing of a movie I ever went to. Was The Phantom Menace. Me and my dad and my brother went at the old Moorhead Theater, which is now a Dollar General because they knocked it down.
I remember we went to it was in Havelock. It was after like maybe Jeremy's graduation or something. Somehow I got elected to like drive into Havelock and buy like 15 tickets.
Nice.
And then like at 9 p.m. I was like, please tell me there are 15 people going. And then like,
what am I going to do with 18 pounds of popcorn?
Yeah.
It's getting cold. Hurry up.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, no, it would be weird, man. Like if like, so out of my social group, I would consider you one of my closer social, like in Jeremy, one of my closer social groups. And it would be weird if that just ended in the next day or two for something.
Yeah, that is strange.
But like, why we've connected and stayed together all these years, I don't really know. Like you were literally
that could be that phenomenon we were just talking about, where it's like just because we happen to be in the same geography between the ages of 13 and 18.
But like, right, and like you're not. I mean, we're not. Well, I guess technically we're not far away from each other, but I've only seen you 20 times probably since high school in person. Like not that many times.
Since I moved away, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay. And you moved away too, right? But like,
yeah, exactly. Since we both left the nest, and I came on back, but you stayed away. That's okay. But also, no one's stealing stuff out of my car, out of my driveway. Just throwing it out there.
That is true.
This is true. But like, what was I gonna say? Crap. Stupid sidebars. They're not getting me where I need to be. But yeah, no, it's just a funny phenomenon, and I don't know. Yeah, so yeah, I was just thinking we were talking about like high school stuff and just where connections start. I don't know if you remember this, like the first week of it was 8th grade when I came to school. I came to North Carolina, and like the first week of school went by, and then it was overnight trip to like the Outer Banks.
Yes.
I was like, oh, good. I get to go hang out with a bunch of complete strangers and chaperones for like 4 days. And like I rode in I think you were in the van. Were you in the van?
I was not in the cool van. I was in the lame van.
Oh, no. I was in the van with Adam Altowski and someone else. I can't remember the kid's name.
Man, he and I have been friends since like 2nd grade. And then
but I could have swore you were in that van.
I don't think so. No, I was in a van with some kid whose name I don't remember, who was like kind of like the Millhouse. And it was like that whole trip was like everybody else is having fun and I'm being lame.
Are you sure you weren't the van? You weren't in a minivan with Adam and me. And
I'm pretty sure. I don't.
Okay. All right. Never mind. I'm remembering that wrong.
A lot of my early sort of middle school memories are me like attempting to get into the cool group and sort of failing because it was like a weird sort of like boxing out in the paint in a way, trying to like get your way in there, like who can have the best zingers and stuff. And it's like, I got some laughs. And it's like, and then like, it was like all the guys were trying to impress all the girls and vice versa. But like nobody actually liked anybody. Like nobody ever stopped to think like, am I actually attracted to these people or do I want their approval? It was just in our genes. You know,
it's called hormones, Dan. Hormones make you do stupid stuff when you're in high school.
And afterwards.
Yeah, this is very true.
In your 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s.
Well, right. So like, yeah, right. So like just it is weird to have a connection and stick with that for a long time after that.
Well, it's hilarious I remember thinking like, like 2016, 17, playing like these bar gigs in Durham. And I remember like a lot of our fan base in this cover band I was in was like people who had lived in Durham like their whole lives. So there would be a lot of like Durham High School class of 78 reunion, or like class of 82. And so you'd see like a big table of people and just to see these people who were like, 15 years my senior or whatever, like just totally reverting back to their old high school dynamics was just hilarious. I almost expected people to like walk in with like the letter jacket. You know what I mean? Or to see like Olivia Newton-John or somebody with like a cheerleader outfit or something like that. It was just these dynamics were hilarious. Like the same guy who was like the alpha male, was like the same alpha male like 25 years later, or more than that. It's just hilarious. I'm like, did nobody ever like do anything? Like, didn't you guys move away or like I don't know?
Yeah, no, it's weird. Like again, I have no like animosity towards like individual people at high school. I hate the concept of high school is stupid. I didn't like any of it, but it's just funny where
concept.
But like whatever.
We'll come back to that.
It is bad. I'm gonna stick with that. But like the things that are good about it are the relationships that you formed. And at that point, and it's funny because at that point, those relationships were
the real journey was the friendships we made along the way.
Exactly. But you would consider those people when you're in high school, you're a closer knit group, and then that changes. So like that little 5 to 10 or 15, 20, relationships in your life fluctuate and change as you grow, and sometimes some people carry along with it, and sometimes they don't. So that's a weird phenomenon there. Yeah. Like because you could never do it the other way. You couldn't go from like I got 5 close friends when I'm 15. Now I I grabbed another close friend, and then you can't have 700 close friends. It just doesn't work. It's impossible.
Right.
You don't have the mental, the spiritual, the emotional, the physical bandwidth to carry all that weight.
Yeah, there's a couple of thoughts on that. There's a principle in this sort of manosphere, like, which is like the internet version of like guys trying to understand how women work and like navigating like the single versus dating world and stuff like that, where they call like this person has a scarcity mentality and this person has an abundance mentality. And what it means is like a person who has a scarcity mentality is too far on the extreme of like, I can't lose this person, so I'm going to act desperate.
Okay.
Right. And then a person who has so that's an unhealthy thing. And then there's a person who has kind of an unhealthy abundance mentality, which is there'll always be more people to give me attention. So
more fish in the sea. Yep.
Right. So you see that a lot with like super attractive people who like always get a lot of attention. Therefore, they never have to. They never occurs to them to worry about like, am I being shitty or like, am I being, what? Because like,
I know it's really hard for us to dim that down and to hold that back. That's a difficult thing for me to do. Just so
yeah. So there's the scarcity and abundance principles apply very heavily in the singles world, but like they also apply maybe like to like friendships and stuff too. Like people who were awkward in their earlier lives, like when they get to be adulthood, they start to realize, okay, an actual friendship is not something to be trifled with. So maybe we don't throw that friendship away because we voted differently on a certain topic or whatever. Whereas people who are like used to being super popular, you know what I mean? And there's always some sort of drama and gossip, whatever, but they somehow ended up always on the sort of near the top of the pyramid or the totem pole. Yep. They're not going to think twice about like, well, that person disrespected me, so fuck them. You know what I mean? Yep. And they throw away. Because fuck them. So I've known people that, were arguably more popular than me and maybe had better social skills, like at a party, but they would be like the same person who like had a real trouble like making lasting friendships. And if you watch this person over a period of years, you would see them go, this is my group of friends. Okay, that went sour because somebody hated somebody and then I didn't like what they said. So screw them. Oh, I got a new group of friends now for this like 5-year period of time. And then you just did this little old dork me with low social skills. I'm like, I've been friends with a lot of the same people for 25 years. So, who's kidding who here? Who's doing what? I don't know. So
no, go ahead. Yep. Sorry.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying just reading on this stuff a little bit. Like someone put a quote. It was just, I think I read just a couple last articles about it. Someone said something about like, wow, okay. Did you see, that was check out those comments. We'll talk about that later. Whoa. Right. Oh my goodness. Oof.
Maybe okay, so can, delete some of these.
Maybe we don't put that one up.
Let's block that user. There we go.
Oh, you go. Well played. Oh, they're gone. Whew.
We're getting canceled.
Yikes. Nobody saw that. That was all underneath the show. But like, it was like, so you can have these super deep relationships, and put all your time into that, and then the world feels very small because you only have time for that if that's what you put your time into. But if you put your time into having fostering that larger group, you have way more diverse group of friends, and then the world feels really big, but everything feels also very shallow. So like it's a balancing act between the two. Not saying one's right and one's wrong. Right. Like, wow, they're back. Cool.
Interesting.
But interesting. But so it's just a weird, again, I'm gonna go with balancing act. This term I'm looking for. But like it's funny you said like I see people that do that, or I've seen people that like every time I see them, or if I check in on social media, they're always with like 1 million people, and they're like pushing 40. I'm like, this is so weird. I was like, I don't know how you're always grabbing new friends. But it's got to be like it has to be like you're part of a group, or you're part of an entity, a community, and you're part of that, and that's cool. Do that. That's great. But like, I don't know. I'm sure they have close friends, but like it would stress me out.
I don't. That's not a world that I inhabit.
No, me neither. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't.
Like I have tons of acquaintances. I'm good with that, but like I don't do like.
Yeah.
I'm not hanging out with 15 of them at a time. You know what I mean?
It's tricky. I think about like most of the people that like. I like a lot of people that like if I've played music with somebody like once or more than once, then they're kind of grandfathered in to be like, all right, we're cool, from now on. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think
music is important enough connection. Yeah.
Well, it's just something about it. Like, it connects you to a person. Yeah. That I can never, with a couple of exceptions. Now, there are some people that I've played music with that for whatever reason, they soured me. And people who know me, I've mentioned, anyway, and it's just like, there's this one dude that for whatever reason, I just can't stand him because I played music with him for a few times and he always showed up and he never was prepared. And it just like, he had this sort of weird confidence. And I'm just like, you know what? I can't stand that guy. And then like every time I see him, I just go, ah. I'm like, all right, maybe that's me being immature because he's probably a decent dude. But like, yeah, that was annoying. But like with that exception, like the people that like I feel connected to for long periods of time are the people that I've played music with. There's that old adage. It's like women make friends women make friends like face to face, and men make friends like side to side. So it's like
okay.
Which is probably a very sort of overly simplistic view of both men and women, but it definitely applies to me. Like the people that I connect with are people that I've done something with. It was either a coworker or we had to like, do something. And then as you're doing something with a person, you go like, so where are you from? You know what I mean? I can't just sit there and be like, stranger. Okay, that's great. So where did you go? Okay, that's cool. Yeah. So what did you, that's great. Oh, that's really cool. Yeah. Okay. Like I can't do that.
It's funny too. Yeah. I would have a hard time doing that. And like, it was funny. Like when Sally was home with the kiddos, she'd be like, she was home with the kids, like she wasn't working, so she would do like play groups and mommy groups and all those things. I was like, more power to you, man. I was like, I could not just do that. And like, there's people that she knows and stuff, and like she remembers them. They're tangential friends, like not super close. We don't hang out, but like she recognizes them and knows them, or she sees them around town. She's like, oh, hey, how's it going? Oh, I can't believe your kids are now like the same age as my kids, because that's what we've been doing. But like that's just like one of those things. I get why people do it. I don't think I wouldn't like to do that unless I don't know. It's just for some reason I don't like doing that.
There's a certain, when you're in a dramatic period of life, like when everything feels super important, you can easily make the mistake of assuming that the people that are experiencing that with you are also like, we're bonded. Like, you ever been to one of those weddings? There's one of those weddings where it's like the woman, the bride has like 18 bridesmaids because it was like, well, these are my sorority sisters. And
what's that about?
I worked with her, and then, well, she was my, and it's like,
I was in her wedding.
And then so therefore the guy has to like come up with like, all right, well, that guy drove a tractor next door to me like 10 years. And it's like he has to make up all, but like, that like if you check in on those people 5 years later, like none of those people are going to be in connection with each other because they're all going to go off and do all their different stuff. And it's like, no, that person was important to you at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, and this applies to me too. Like, I'm thinking back to like way back in the day. I'm like, I barely talk to any of those people anymore. So,
Hey Dan, thanks for hanging out and handing out like the flyers at our wedding. That was cool. Appreciate that. That was good.
Did I do that?
You did. You and Jeremy. You were the ushers.
Oh, that's true. I had forgotten the details of that part. No, that was a fun wedding. The aquarium and stuff.
It was fun. Really that was fun. Good. Yeah, I know, it's funny, the wedding stuff. Like, yeah, you gotta like, at the moment it seems very, very important, and it may or may not be at all. Like, I don't know. It's funny. Or like, oh, you're my best man. Like, I'm your best man. I'm like, what does that mean? I'm like, I don't know. This is what we're doing. Like, yeah, like most people don't like.
We could do a whole show on the ins and outs of marriage culture, which may or may not get us canceled, but we don't need to do that. We're going to that now, but like.
Also, I'm happily married. Maybe we don't need to go there.
Well,
no, I'm just kidding.
Right, but I mean, even that doesn't even have to deal with that or not. But it's just like the whole.
No, I'm kidding. Yeah.
Like, hey, how about I just do a bunch of stuff to impress my parents' friends, so they can impress other friends. Like the.
Sorry, go.
The pageantry of it all is an interesting social phenomenon.
Yeah, sure, that's fair. I lost my wedding band this week. Gone forever. No. I've lost my wedding band like 3 or 4 times over the course of my marriage, but I've always gotten it back. And this time it's in the bottom of the Tar River, and I'm never getting it back.
Well, it's just a thing.
It's great. I'm so glad you didn't even ask. I was just like, it's at the bottom of the Tar River. You're like, that's a thing. Whatever. It's fine.
Well, I mean, what else are you going to do, you know? Gonna go out there with a scuba suit and a metal detector?
No. Sally's like, yeah, we got to get you into the wedding band. I was like, yeah. She's like, there's a place closing in town. You can probably get a good deal. I was like, sweet. That's what we did the first time.
You had me a good deal. There you go.
Yeah. You know? No, our wedding bands were going out of sale. They got Kay's Jewelers or something in a mall. The bands, anyway.
It's like, you guys doing like a 2-for-1 thing?
Yeah, it's a great deal. We scored. It went good.
Yeah. No, that works.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, we should do that. That'd be funny. I have some random thoughts. Sure.
Yeah. Maybe some hot takes on that one.
Yeah, some hot takes. Either way, it's funny. I'm glad we're friends. We've been friends a long time, and it's weird. And like, I don't know what makes friends, how people stay in those groups, but you know, those small groups are important. Those small knit friends, like being with friends is important. Having like-minded people, even like you said, like voting wise and stuff. Like, I mean, we have the same general outlook politically, I think.
Yeah.
Roughly. Same worldviewish stuff, but like, we don't agree with everything. And it's just funny because like, if I didn't have that, if I had to go by that rule, I would have 0 friends. I could not talk to anybody.
Yeah. Or I would be friends with a lot of people that I otherwise don't particularly enjoy being around.
Ooh, yeah, that's fair.
You know what I mean? Because I enjoy being around a lot of people who I don't vote the same as.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I don't know if that means that I'm weird or they're weird, but like a lot of, you know what I mean?
No, so, I think it's just, I don't know. It's a prioritization thing. You gotta pick your friends on more solid level stuff. Things that you can hang your hat on for a little bit, especially the closer ones. And even the further ones that are out, or the ones you talk to. I mean, we're not like best friends, but like we hang out and we talk on a really consistent basis.
I think curiosity makes a big difference. Like that's a huge thing for me. Like somebody who's like going through life, being like, oh, that's interesting. You know what I mean? Because like that's the kind of person who is like, if they're applying that to the outside world, chances are they're also applying it inwardly. And then they're a person who's like okay with the idea of being like, oh, okay, well, I didn't know that. Okay, that's whatever. And like those people tend to be easy to get along with people. The people who are not curious at all, it means that like, I've decided everything that is true by the age of 25. And it's like, who wants to be around that person?
Oh, I was that person and nobody wanted to be around me for sure. Easily until the age of 25.
I think I was that person around 18, 19. And then I stopped being that person. And then
I think I was more that person like 21 to 25. And many people would probably argue with that date and extend it out past the point. But I know myself and I know where I'm at.
It's like, what, honey? I'm that person now?
No, go to bed. Go to sleep.
That's funny.
So what if I lost the ring? What's it to you?
Yeah. He's sitting there at lunch tomorrow. I just think it's weird how it's like this thing where you lost it. It was like a joke. Like, why is that a funny story? Like,
you share our personal lives about the jewelry we wear.
That was a you and me thing, and now it's like an everybody thing.
Oh, it definitely wasn't a you and me thing. It was a public event where that thing went away. It was funny. But yeah. All right, cool. Yeah, that'd be a fun conversation. Hey, we've gone over an hour. So this show that was supposed to be like 20 to 30 minutes as we start, like the first week, everything just went to an hour.
Well, so I was telling so Shayla,
which I have no problem with, by the way.
Shayla and her mom came over the other day, and I was like, it's like, you know, I was talking to her mom about something, and I was like, yeah, I've been doing this podcast with my friend. You know, it's just one of these things that we kind of do, and it's like, you know, I realized like the fact that like nobody watches it is like, I actually don't really care. It actually pays nice dividends in my relationship, because that means that like he and I talk about random stuff. And that means that when Shayla and I hang out, like I don't have all of this stuff that I need to talk about that annoys her. You know what I mean? And so like it's useful, because then I don't have to like sour that with like, you know what I think about President Biden? And it's like, oh, this is gonna be a problem.
You know, seriously, I've been really thinking about marriage culture lately, and like really. Like, oh, good God, Dan, relax.
Well, her and I are in staunch agreement on a lot of that stuff, but that's one of the things we bond over.
Nice. Yeah. Oh, okay. No, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Well, yes, this is fun, and it'd be cool, man, if more people wanted to get in on this. I would gladly chat with more people.
We got to get Joe on and talk about Star Wars. I think that's a good first step.
I think Joe would do it.
Yeah.
Joe B, looking at you if you're listening, and I know you are eventually. Come on, let's go. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Or you can talk about Star Wars and I'll just listen. All right.
Nobody wants to hear that. All right. Are we done?
I think so. Let me find the outro and then we're done. All right. Later. All right. That was the count. That was good. Witty banter, and then we end the podcast.